Thank you for remembering to do that, Angela. We will be recording today's webinar, so please keep that in mind. We will also have the chat ready to go for anybody who wants to ask questions, and we'll open it up at the end, time permitting. My name is Sarah Bunnell. I was so excited to see so many familiar names joining this webinar. I head up customer success and account management here at Everplans, and today I'm being joined by Eloise and Angela. We are your team from marketing and customer success. We are the team that helps you and helps all of your clients as you use the platform, whether it's our pro platform or filling in your own Everplan. Many of you have met with me and understand that my background is also on your side of the table. So I worked for 20 years in financial services before coming over to Everplans in 2017. So really excited to talk about how you can be using Everplans in your practice with your clients. Today will be a great refresher for those of you who are in the platform and have been users for a long time, and it'll be a great introduction. I see some people, literally one person who just started using Everplans today join this webinar, and so this will be a great introduction for you and a good deep dive as well. We will be talking about different ways to use the platform with clients, and so this is my housekeeping disclaimer, which is for all of you who had different compliance regimes. You'll want to chat with me, chat with a member of our team, chat with your OSJ, whoever your compliance team is. If there's any use cases that you aren't sure about or any collateral that you might want to chat about in terms of disclosure or compliance, feel free to start with me and we can go ahead and get you the information that you need and the best way to get it out to your clients. This webinar today is not for clients, it is for pro users of Everplans. We're really excited to have everybody together. I like to start just with a level set and a recap. Everplans is an online digital archive, a place where users, your clients, your prospects can store information that they really need to have organized for life management and that their family really needs to know about in case of an emergency. People store everything in their Everplan, ranging from, as you can see on this page, important documents like passports or credit card information, ranging to family memorabilia. You see a picture here, which is amazing. It's Abby, our co-founder's grandmother and her children. You see old family photos, family heirlooms, all the way to more, everyday items like tax returns and wills, account statements, things that you need to have organized for yourself and in case of an emergency. In the Everplan, you're able to, as the end user, so as your clients and prospects, and many of you in your own plan, you're able to store as much or as little as you feel comfortable putting in the plan. So you may not want to put a copy of your tax return in there, but you may want to let your family know that that's in the home safe. And the combo to the home safe is in the top desk drawer. And the key to the top desk drawer is in the garage. These are the things that our families need to know about. We call it at Everplans, leaving a trail of breadcrumbs. So I'm going to jump into a demo account so that you can all see what your clients see. And Eloise, are we looking good with the welcome, William? Great. So here you see what your clients see when they log in to Everplans. And for those of you who are deep users of the Everplan, please just bear with me while I go over just the standard foundational information. And then I want to dive into some of the use cases that we had shared in the email that we sent inviting you all today. So when you first log into Everplans as a user, your users are asked to join by email. They click a button to activate, and then they very first see an onboarding assessment. It's a module-based assessment. It's not collecting sensitive information right away, but it is asking questions like, do you have a smartphone? Does it have a lock code? Do you work with a financial advisor? Do you have a will? We're using all of that information to provide a more customized experience for the users. Once they've finished with that onboarding assessment, they then will always log in and come to this dashboard page. I'll make my screen a little bit smaller so you can all see the dashboard page. As you all know, this is a co-branded experience for your clients. We have a menu on the left-hand side that they can navigate with. This would be your logo on the top left corner. you're able to go and use these next best actions, which are actually fueled by an algorithm that takes that information from the onboarding assessment and suggests the next pertinent item for the user to work on. And you can, of course, go down here to this tab view as well. There are many different ways to use Everplans. There's no right way or wrong way to get your information in here. I'm old school. I often come in and use the bar on the left-hand side. There are many of our users who like to take our suggestions, make sure they're getting the most important items in order. And then there are people who come and say, you know what, I have 15 minutes and I want to tackle a section maybe that I haven't tackled yet. Or I want to use the Everplan suggestions because it lets me know what I need to do and how long it will take. There are 4 pillars to Everplans that I'll go through in a few minutes just to frame out the experience. When you first start talking with your clients about Everplans, security may be front of mind. And so that's the first pillar that I'll discuss. We are HIPAA compliant. We are SOC 2 compliant. These are annual certifications. They are not one and done. When I say HIPAA compliant, I often give the example of people who get their lab results from their doctor's offices in a portal. When we talk about SOC 2 compliance, that's the same compliance that anybody who is using a banking institution or an app would have to subject themselves to that rigor. Those, again, annual certifications against the threats that people are experiencing in the market at that time. We also have military grade encryption. And what that means in layman's terms is the information in the Everplan is encrypted or indecipherable when it is sitting at rest and when it is in transit. At rest when it is in the platform, in transit when it is being uploaded and downloaded from the platform. We have a security document that you can find in the resource section. You can find our resource section when you're logged in as a professional. Happy to showcase that at the end. And many of you have received that from me in a link, and we're happy to resend that as a takeaway from this call. It's beautifully designed, it's client facing, it prints out very nicely as well if you wanted to get that out as a handout. The other pillars that I'll bring to life really quickly are, first and foremost, Everplans is a guided online archive, online platform, online vault, however your clients and you are talking about it and using it. And I like to show the home section because it shows a really simple way for the guidance feature. When you go to your home ownership section and you fill that out, or your clients do, they are able to log in and they select if they own or rent. If they own their home, we are asking questions that an owner needs to have answered for themselves for life management and for their family and loved ones in case of an emergency. We're asking owners questions like plot or lot number, where they keep the deed, where they pay the taxes, giving the option for a drag and drop and notes and instructions, but we're really taking the guesswork out of this for the user. If you're a renter and you select rent, you see that the list of questions changes. The guidance here is saying, as a renter, we need different important information from you. Who is the landlord or management company? What do you pay in rent? When does your lease end? All of these different components and pieces of information that a renter needs. Still the ability, though, to drag and drop a file, upload a picture from your phone, scan a document, upload it, or just put in notes and instructions. Again, it doesn't have to be a copy of your lease. You may not want that, or your clients may not want that online, and that would be just fine. But letting them know, letting their families know where that information is, or just writing it down for ourselves to stay organized is really important. We also have contextual prompts, which keep the users up to date. And in each section, you will see these next best actions prompting the user along. And I showcased that as well on the dashboard page when you first logged in. As I mentioned, there are some people who come here with a goal. Maybe they just did their taxes, as we talked about in the invite, and they want to put that copy of the tax return into the Everplan. They're able to go into the financial section, scroll down, and add different tax returns. If they hadn't already started that section, it would be in this list, and they'd be able to select from here. There might be people who want to come and learn a little bit more about a section that they haven't started yet. I always show the health section when I talk about this, because first we'd added a new enhanced vaccine section, subsection. But also, there are many people coming and filling out the components of an advance directive, and not everybody knows all of those components. Here we are giving the guidance for the different components of the advance directive. And within the Everplans platform, we're also putting in content to help the users along the way. This content is what we call descriptive, not prescriptive. It's not pushing you to buy a product. It's just giving an objective overview, in this case, of what an advance directive is and 5 ways to get started. The golden ticket of the Everplan, if we think about the first 3 pillars, the security, the guidance, the contextual prompts to keep you up to date, that 4th pillar is what I love and find the most useful in my own experience with my Everplan, is the deputy section. And this is the sharing section. I often use the anecdote, what good is an insurance policy if the beneficiaries do not know about it? And so here you see, this is a great user. This user, William, has 4 deputies. He is able to manage in real time which sections he wants to share with his deputies and when. I'll give a few quick use cases or overviews of how you might want to think about your deputies. As you consider who you would guide a client to make as a deputy, or for your own plan, think about beneficiaries, adult children, adult family members, business partners, whoever you are counting on to step in and be you in case of an emergency. You're able to give information access now, after death, or never. An example of now, I'll use my own family. My mom and I, she is widowed, retired, lives a couple hours away from me, and she's in her 70s. I am able to see all of her information now. She's able to see all of my information now. When I was in college, she probably wouldn't have wanted me to have access to or burden me with having access to information like financial accounts and wills. She might not want me to have access to her passwords on something like an Amazon account, but she would schedule that for after death in case something were to happen. An example of never is my dog walker. She is able to access my garage code. She knows the pet section for pet insurance information, but she would never need access to my financials, my tax documents, and so on. So that's a great refresh, reset on the platform. Talk about those 4 pillars, the guidance, security, contextual prompts, and sharing through the deputies. We have a security document, which is able to be shared based on your own compliance regime with customers. We have a blog that talks about sharing after death. We're able to share that link with you to educate yourselves so that you can help your clients and your prospects. You can share it with them if that's something you're comfortable doing as well. In the invitation that we sent out, though, we talked about these really 3 use cases that are topical, they're informative, they're use cases that you can put into action right now. And so to recap on those, the first is that tax season for most of us, unless you got an extension and most of your clients, is complete, or at least you know what your plans are in the next few months to get your taxes complete. So I'm going to show you in depth how you can use the Everplan to store tax information, and you're able to guide your clients and your prospects to store the tax information in the Everplan, or at least point their family, their loved ones, their trusted confidants to where this information is stored. We also talked about how wedding season is coming, and we have a wedding checklist that you can share with your clients. It's in your resource center. It's also on the web. We'll share a link to it for you to share with your clients. Just a few years ago, I would be saying, print this out and hand it out to them when they're in your office. But we know that a lot of this is virtual. You're able to use our checklists and content in social media posts, to link to it on your own website, in an intranet. So there's lots of different ways to use and share this content. I love this topic because it really involves the whole family. And it's a way for you all to bridge that gap with the next generation. And then the third thing that we mentioned as a use case in the email is the kids are going to be going to college, and the summer is to prep. And certainly everyone's running around getting the fun things like bedding and new clothes and all of the different electronics that kids need. But there's also information that you need to have organized. If you have an 18-year-old going on to college, like many of your clients will, there's certain information that they need to have organized around health information, sharing of passwords, insurance cards, for example. So I'm going to use the platform to demonstrate these examples. I'm going to go through it pretty quickly so that we can save some time for a Q&A at the end, because we're happy to talk about these use cases and anything more. If your question seems pretty like nitty gritty or detailed or specific to you and your practice, we might chime in that we'll deal with that offline, but we're always here to help. And you can always get us at help@everplans.com. So let's get the tax example out of the way first. We store tax information in the Everplan under financial. When you go into the financial section, as I showed briefly before, you're able to add tax returns. If your client does not already have their tax returns in, it will be listed in this Add to Your Everplan list. Many of you pre-populate your Everplan, the Everplan, I should say, for your clients before you deliver it. And what that means is you log into your Everplans Pro dashboard, you select the client, and you go in and you pre-populate, you add some information for them. And so if you have a copy of the tax return and that's something that they would be comfortable with you doing, this is a great way for you to say, I'm so glad that we worked together on this, or we helped you with this, and I put a copy in here. Now you can go share it with your family and let them know, your adult children, maybe your kids are out of the house, or you have some examples like the one of my mom and myself, where we're really working as a team as she ages in place and we grow together. But here, when you go into the tax section, you see there is one item already added. You are able to add another. You can go in and put the tax year, maybe the date that you completed the taxes. You as the end user, and so this is for your clients, unless you're pre-populating, your client or prospect would be able to go into the Everplan, select how they completed their taxes. Maybe they're using an online software and you're taking a second look for them. They're able to scan in a page or the whole document, and they're able to use notes and instructions. And so the way this would look for your clients is they might list the year and they might say this is in the home safe. And I can show you an example of that here, of what it would look like for your clients. And I love this example because we're not being too pushy. We're not saying you have to put any sensitive information in the Everplan. You're simply saying to them, it's great to have your taxes securely stored and shared with your loved ones in case of an emergency or just for life management. Many of us are located in areas where there's floods, fires, hurricanes. It's a wonderful place to store the information in a secure place like Everplans. We were purpose-built to store sensitive information. But if they're not comfortable putting that, they do not have to. We never mandate that users put any particular piece of information in here. They're able to just simply say, the tax returns are in the safe. And we talk about this a lot with our users who write in and say, we wouldn't have known the combo to the safe without the Everplan. We wouldn't have known where the safe deposit box key was, or the bank changed over. And so there's a lot of different ways that families can really protect one another and give peace of mind. And this is a great example using tax returns, but the same can be said for insurance documents, health information, family recipes, which many of you have heard me talk about before, and the list goes on. The next use case that we had is wedding season. So we know that 2022 is the year for weddings. People have not been at weddings, big ones, in a while. And there's a lot of different ways that you can use the Everplan to support newlyweds. So if you have clients who themselves are newlyweds, but you've set them up as an individual and you're looking to add the new partner, you're able to go into your pro dashboard, click on your individual client. Next to their name in the detail page is a gray plus sign. You are able to add a family member, a household member to the Everplan. So you can get those newlyweds started. Maybe it's not as glamorous as a bottle of champagne, but you're able to help them get started with the Everplan and merging their information. The existing user won't lose any information. The new user will be able to add, and they can divide the information within the plan. It's a great way for them to start sharing information, to share information on financials, to share information just simply now that they're cohabitating, or maybe they have been for a while. They might share a pet already. I love to show the pet section. We keep that under family and loved ones. Here you can see that this user, this demo account has a Labrador. You're able to put the information, including things like pet insurance and the like. So this is just a way for you to think about the different items that they might be sharing together now that they're newlyweds: family recipes, genealogy, 23andMe, memorializing information. But what we want to really highlight here is, Everplans started as a content site over 12 years ago. When our co-founders started Everplans, Abby in particular had been planning a wedding herself. She was using weddingchannel.com and theknot.com and all these beautiful, wonderful online resources that we know are there when you're planning a wedding, when you're having a baby, when you're retiring. But when they started researching in the market, where is there a gap in resources like this? They found that post-retirement really went off a cliff. There weren't a lot of pieces of objective information out there. And so when you're thinking about the topics in Everplan, there's content for everything. The wedding checklist is a fun one. This is a newlywed estate planning checklist. We're helping to make sure that in this exciting time, they're also thinking about what's important. You're able to print a document like this out and hand it out. You could even post it to your LinkedIn or social media. Maybe you connect with your clients on Facebook or you're in a group. This is the kind of information that you can link out to using this URL, which we'll share in the follow-up emails as well. We have so many checklists. We have an essential planning checklist, which is fantastic. We have a hurricane preparedness checklist, which is also wonderful. Great to share with your clients at this time of year. So always feel free to ping us at help@everplans.com. We can give you different checklists and guides, like for really objective content. The third use case is one that, as I was researching it with our head of editorial, Jean, for this webinar, it was really exciting. I was thinking of, initially the kids are going to college. Let's share information like insurance, healthcare, different things like that, insurance information, insurance cards. But he really got me going, thinking about the different items that families need to share, particularly when the children are going away to college pretty far away. Maybe they're flying, maybe they're driving, maybe they're going just a few hours. But either way, especially when they're 18 and over, there's a lot of information that they need to be armed with that really becomes out of your control as a parent. And I think this is something where you're able to help guide your clients. You're already side by side with your clients. You guys are there during those pivotal life moments. You're there to help them with the annual nitty gritty, like tax returns or assessing buying a new home or a new car. You're able to help them with a lot of financial planning and insurance coverage. But there's also life planning, and there are these broader topics. And I think for your clients who have children going to college, or they're preparing for that, you're often talking about it from an investment standpoint. But we're here to help you give them a tool to plan for all of it. We also know that, whether the stat is 90 or 95%, we know that that next generation typically does not continue on with the financial advisor. So this is a great way in time to get involved with the whole family and start sharing information, getting your name out there. You're often the first call for the parents. And this way you can have a front row seat through your co-branding to the children. And so when we think of kids going to college, Jean and I were just going down a rabbit hole. I won't bring everybody down the whole thing, but I will highlight a few of the sections that I think are really interesting. Digital. You are able in the Everplan to know as a user, a password manager, but also information or sites that you have where you log in and access information. Recently, Everplans was put out a stat where an average person has over 100 logins and passwords. And I know for myself, without my LastPass, I wouldn't remember at least 3/4 of them. So within the Everplan for your clients and prospects with adult children, we suggest that you go through and you share information for family accounts, household accounts, shopping and e-commerce. Maybe they want to share the Amazon account. Maybe that's how the children are getting textbooks or different digital documents. There's video streaming, music sharing, gaming, cloud storage. The list goes on and on. We have content at the bottom for the most popular password managers, a great thing for a family to have. How to create a digital estate plan. This is one area that I think is so underrepresented in planning, but creates so much angst within a family when passwords and logins aren't organized and shared in case of an emergency, but really just for life management as well. So this is a great example. For home and property, we often suggest making sure that the home information is up to date and using the Everplan to note things like security codes, associated Nest cameras, things where maybe if the parents are traveling or if it's a second property that the adult children or the college children will be using, that they have the information that they need. Here, we give you areas for those items that we were talking about before, the safe deposit box and the home safes as well. Of course, the financial section is one that's really important. Likely your clients won't want to share all of this information with their college age children, but they will have certain items that they do want them to know. Maybe the family stores social security cards or the location of them for their college children in the Everplan, and they go ahead and they share that. All sorts of different items to think about, really unique conversation starters for you with your customers and clients as well, but something to help get the ball rolling within these families. Because as we know, as your clients are getting their children ready for college, there's so many things that come before the actual leave date. And so these are the types of things that, slip through the cracks, but are very, very important. And within that, getting the kids to college section, the last piece of this use case, I will just go and show you all of the different items in our health section. When your clients' kids go to college and they turn 18, the parents will have less access to information on their children's health situation due to HIPAA. And so they want to have a plan in place. And you want to make sure that as their trusted advisor, you've been able to guide them and make sure that they are at least thinking about these pieces of information. Simple things like, do your kids know the name of the doctor's practice or how to get a hold of them? Are pieces of an advance directive put in place, or does your client need education on these pieces of information? Lots of families have sensitive medical issues or medications that they want to share, ways that they can reach a pharmacy in case of needing an EpiPen or a diabetes medication, all sorts of different things. Medical conditions that the children might, not know all of the details on, but would need them in case of an emergency. The Everplan for your clients and prospects, whoever you invite and activate through you, is highly mobily optimized. And what that means is you can look at it on a desktop like we are here, or like I am here, but it also will resize for a tablet and for a smartphone. And so it's really important to let your clients know that. And then, things like fitness and wellness. Do they have a gym membership? Is there a gym? Are you using an online service where they're maybe doing like Peloton at home? Are there different pieces of information that just can help enhance making life easier so that you can share information? And then I'll put in my favorite family section. Here, I joke, but it is true that my mother better have in her sharing after death section her sauce recipe, because there's a lot of back turning for some of those ingredients. But this is a great way for your family, for your clients' families, to share the softer side or the more, traditional items that would give comfort, particularly when kids are away at college and maybe getting started cooking and living on their own. And so I will take a moment and pause here. These are the use cases that, are simple. There's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of guidance that we at Everplans can provide. When you write in to help@everplans.com, your emails come directly to us. We read them in real time. We're able to set up a session, answer any questions here. But also, we're happy to have a one-on-one engagement with you and your practice to talk about how you might use the Everplan service and platform with your customers on a day-to-day basis, not just in a case of an emergency, although it is extremely valuable there as well. The last thing I will say before we go into the questions that we have in chat is that as a special perk to this webinar, we know it's been a little while since we've all gotten together. The first 2 firms who invite 30 new clients to the Everplans platform. So you go in to your pro dashboard, you click add a client, you add first name, last name, email address. It goes to a draft. You can pre-populate at that time. And then once you click send, so the first 2 firms that click send on those steps to 30 new users will receive 25 free copies of our book, co-written by our head of editorial, Jean, who I was mentioning, and our co-founders, Abby and Adam, called In Case You Get Hit by a Bus. You're able to share that with your clients. It's an Amazon bestseller, and it's a really great companion piece to the Everplan. I'll continue to pick on my own family and just share, my mom worked in insurance for 40 years. I've worked at Everplans for a number of years. She always had her Everplan in pretty good shape, and she had my brother and I, her adult children, as deputies. She read In Case You Get Hit by a Bus. She then gifted a copy of it to her best friend. Both of them went and made appointments with their estate planning attorneys to update their documents. My mom then went in and did a flurry of updating in her Everplan because she updated her will and created a new trust and got some tips and tricks that she really wanted to put into action. And so I was really sparked by what a great companion piece it is for someone who is, pretty on top of it. And so this book and the ability to invite your clients and get these for free from us is something that's a really unique opportunity and would be a great way to bolster anyone's practice. With that, I really will take a break and have Eloise or Angela let me know if there's any questions in the chat. If there's not, I will come up with some typical questions that we get so that I can keep providing education with the time that we have left.
Yeah, we had one question come in asking, in reference to the marriage use case, does the merge feature have the ability to separate 2 clients as well?
So it's important to note that it's not a merge feature of 2 existing individual Everplans. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause my screen and I'm going to log out and I'm going to log in to a professional account. So this, can you guys see the screen? Great. This is the dashboard for the advisor of the client that we were just looking at, William Stone. So you see here in real time, you can see the activity that he's taken. If you wanted to go ahead and make any of these individual accounts a household, you would be able to click on this plus sign right here. This would allow you to add a new user, first name, last name, email address. You are not able to merge 2 plans, but if you ever had 2 plans that you wanted to merge, write us at help@everplans.com. We can help you. We are able to separate a household. We have done so for couples who've been divorced. What it does is it separates the plan. It creates 2 individual mirrored plans. You are not able to do that as a professional user. That's something our technology team has to help with. It's not something that's really done very often, but it is something that we have the capabilities to assist with. And so you would just want to email me or Eloise or help@everplans.com and we can help with that. Were there any other questions that have come through? Don't be shy. So I will take a moment then to wait and see if any more questions come through, but also highlight our resources. So when you're logged in as a professional user, you can see this activity feed of what your customers or clients and prospects are doing. You can see how many people you've invited. We always have featured resources right here. So we had a COVID preparedness guide that we put out in 2020. We have a checklist on how to roll Everplans out to your clients and prospects. We have a link to that essential planning checklist that I mentioned. You're able then to see, of course, all of your clients in a list. Keep in mind, this is a demo account, of course. As I mentioned, when you go in and you add your clients, you're doing so and you're creating a draft. If you have the ability through your Everplans Pro to pre-populate information on behalf of your clients, which many of you do, you're able to go ahead and do so at this stage. Once you send the invitation, you are then able to let the client take over the Everplan, and you no longer can pre-populate the information. If your clients give you permission, and you're allowed to have that permission, depending on your compliance regime, you then may be able to add information alongside them in a collaborative way. When you click on this resource button in your dashboard, it brings you to the Everplans Resource Center. We have the information organized really simply: materials for advisors. This will help you use Everplans more in your practice. It will help you get the most out of your investment in Everplans. And then here we have materials for clients. These are materials that are helpful to use with your clients. Disclaimer: if you need to get disclosures or have proper compliance reviews, please do so, or grab this from your intranet if you have such a library of information that's been pre-approved. This is where you can find the security overview that we talked about and some of these really great checklists, everything from new parents to advanced directive, ethical wills, which are really great. And then we have videos. So these videos are great. You can use these videos for yourself. These videos can go to your customers. They're on really big topics like planning and readiness, the digital estate, which is, as I mentioned before, an area that is really, really undertapped and one that isn't really covered in a lot of different professional venues. So it's a great area for you to add value and to involve that whole family. And then we go all the way down. There's different kinds of videos that you can use to talk about how Everplans offers peace of mind. The Everplans Professional 101 and what is Everplans Pro. These are great if you have a new member of your team or if you are a new pro user of Everplans to educate yourself. And then you can kick out to our help center. This is a help center that your clients have a variation of as well. And then for pros, we have a phone number where you can call and get a hold of us. A lot of the questions that we typically get from customers, from pros, where they say, you know, our customers came to us with, or our clients came to us with this question or this concern. I can just go through a couple of those for the next few minutes in case anybody's being shy or wants a minute to think about some questions that they might have. A lot of the pros that work with us say, what is the best way to get this out to my customers? I don't have a lot of time. I can't go and pre-populate everything. And what we would say is, you know, really the best way is to get the Everplan in the hands of the customer, because once they're using the platform, they have the guidance, they have the content, they have the contextual prompts to keep them up to date. They get enrolled in our Blueprint program, which is 12 emails a year. It's not a ton of information barraging them, but it is quick videos of our co-founder, Abby, taking you around the home saying, these are the things you would need to document for an insurance claim. So lots of really great variations on life management items. The Blueprint sequence mirrors the book, wonderful companion piece. So that's a great way to get the Everplan out. We also are happy to do webinars to your customers for you. So if you have a client group that you want to do a pro webinar to, we're happy to do those for you quarterly. You could do an introduction to Everplans where we just show them how to use the platform. We could do a live Q&A. Sometimes our pros like to segment their clients. Maybe you have a group of widows. Maybe you have a group of customers where their children are going to college. There's all different ways to use Everplans with your client. And we're happy to be that spokesperson or that person to demo the platform for you to your clients in a webinar. There are other ways where you can get it out, you know, an email to announce it, profiling Everplans on any newsletters that you do, including us in social media posts. Really, it's just about letting them know about this service, making sure that you get it in front of them, and then supporting them. It's simple items like making Everplans an agenda item whenever your customers come in. We have a lot of large financial practices that will roll Everplans out after financial planning, after tax time, really connecting the Everplan to those life moments so that their customers know that they have the Everplan and they can share it with the family. And it's a wonderful way to bring in the whole family. And we know that's something that really we all need more of, is making sure our family understands the steps that we've taken to protect ourselves. And that's true for all of your clients' families, I would imagine, as well. I see a question about adding and customizing sections. You cannot add or customize sections in the Everplan at this time, though your clients do have a miscellaneous section. And of course, they have the ability to add notes and instructions. So if they're using a section and they want to make it more comprehensive or more specific, they're able to go ahead and add those notes and instructions and use the miscellaneous section if needed. And the wonderful thing, as pro users, is that you are able to invite your clients to the Everplan in a household account. That household account is not available to our consumer users on our platform. So it's a real perk getting it from a professional like yourselves. So you're able to invite the client, invite their spouse. There's other great use cases for the household. There are families that are able to, have, in my example, it's wonderful. My mom and I are set up with our own individual plans, but as she ages, I could easily see us needing a household plan where we could collaborate together. There's great use cases that we've heard of families with adult disabled children who live at a care facility where they're able to go and share a plan with an adult, with a parent, and they make the deputies the people who are helping with the everyday life at these care facilities. And so there's so many different great use cases, and to have that ability to allow your clients to collaborate within their family is a perk for being on our pro platform, as are the co-hosted webinars for being on the pro platform as well. And, a lot of people, a lot of our pro clients will have different webinars throughout the year, and they'll say to their customers, go ahead and invite your family members to this. We're going to do a webinar on digital estate. Everplans is going to present to you about how to use the platform. Invite your neighbors and your family members. It's a great way for you to get new connections, but it's also a great way for those family members to see the way that you are taking care of those clients that you have beyond just the investments. We say beyond just the balance sheet. So I think that this, if there are no additional questions, I think this really covers it. Just to recap, and we'll be sending out a recap email. We talked about, the foundation of Everplans, the ability to store information that your clients need organized now for themselves for life management, and the ability to share that with their family in a secure way. We talked about the different, what I call pillars of Everplans, the guidance and the prompts to stay up to date, the golden ticket of the deputies, sharing the information now, after death, or never. The ability to update and share the information in real time and change those permissions on those deputies in real time. And then we went over these different great use cases, which I think that give you a framework of how you might want to guide your clients to use Everplans. Storing important documentation. It doesn't just have to be taxes. It could be wills, trusts, healthcare information. Wedding season is coming. We have wonderful checklists. There's also, new baby checklists, as we showed. There's a hurricane preparedness checklist. There's an essential planning checklist. And then there's the wonderful book, which is a great companion to all of that. And then we talked about getting the kids ready to go to college. That's a use case that really, many of them are going to come back after college, and then they're going to get ready to go to their first home or their first apartment. So there's lots of different ways to involve the whole family and use the Everplan for information that is emergency related, but also life management related. And I think that's a pretty great way to get your clients to feel that value that you've passed along to them. monthly or quarterly, not just in case of an emergency, although it's very important at that time as well. Eloise or Angela, anything that you guys would add, any notes or anything that you want to share?
I think so. I think you covered it all.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for attending. Thanks, Angela and Eloise, for co-hosting with me. We appreciate all of you. As I mentioned, you can always reach out to us individually and directly or at help@everplans.com